Texas is Peach Bowl bound. Longhorns handling Clemson in the first round of this new and improved college football playoff. Will now face Arizona State next. So expanding the playoff from 4 teams to 12, did that provide a better product? And no one knows college football around here like Chris Gordy from the Locked On SEC podcast. Chris, thanks for joining us. And boy, when we look at this first round of games, was this a first round failure given that we really didn't have any close matchups?
Yeah, look, I'd pose it this way, guys, and say absolutely not. I would argue it's exactly what was right about this new format of the playoff. What was the biggest thing that appealed to us about these first round games in the 12-team format? Home playoff games, home. All 4 of these games showed how important home field advantage was. Yes, they were all blowouts, but to me it shows just how much harder all these teams are going to have to work next season to make sure that they're hosting home playoff games. In college, home field matters more than any other sport. I think that in this first iteration of the 12-team playoff, it's a success because it showed you must get that home field advantage. And honestly, I'm for more home playoff games in future rounds.
And now that we look at the first round matchups, which teams were most impressive? Which team was the most impressive one? And which team was the most disappointing one? Chris, you want to start with impressive or disappointing?
I'll go disappointed. To me, it was Tennessee. I mean, it's funny, with all the debate about which team belonged in and which one didn't, there was no argument that Tennessee belonged in. They went 10-2 in the SEC. They had a huge win over Alabama, who people were trying to make a case for them getting in. And look, Tennessee's defense was one of the best in the country all year long, but my gosh, did they get humbled. I mean, Ohio State played like the team we thought they could be, jumped out to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter and never looked back. Just really disappointed in that Josh Heupel Tennessee offense that could just not get going. Only 100 yards passing from Nico Iamaleava, struggled to do much of anything, and that defense giving up almost 500 yards to Ohio State. Very disappointed in Tennessee.
All right, disappointing for you.
Most disappointing for me, Indiana. And I say that not because I expected them to win that game, but they were such a feel-good story in college football.
Put me down to, I was going to say Indiana because the coach and the personality and this program that was shocking everybody. I was just hoping that they'd be able to do something. All right, so the most impressive team in the first round for you was?
Well, I already gave my roses to Ohio State, but I'm going to go Texas. And here's my thinking. I know they played the closest game of the blowouts, but they beat a really good Clemson team 38-24. And my big issue with Texas down the stretch of this season, it felt like they played down to the competition at times, right? I mean, they beat Vandy by 3. They beat Arkansas by 10. They beat A&M by 10. They lost to Georgia twice. I just really wanted to see them beat up on a good team. And they did that with Clemson. It was most encouraging was Trey Wisner, their feature back, gets banged up. They turned to Jaden Blue. They turned to, all the other different guys. Gibson, they were able to rush for 300 yards on the day against a good Clemson front. We can talk all we want about Quinn Ewers, but to me, Texas's formula for moving forward in this playoff, dominant run game, suffocating defense. They had 3 sacks yesterday, an interception. I can't wait to see them in the next round because I think this Texas team has got everything they need to possibly get to a championship and win it all.
Okay, well, I guess I'll say Texas too for all the reasons you just mentioned. But you're exactly right. Texas has not played up to its full potential a lot. So the fact that they were able to put this game together against that opponent, I'm going to say Texas as well. What about you?
Also Texas for me because they were excellent in the trenches, both on offense and on defense. They ran for nearly 300 yards, Jason. That's incredible. So I think that's going to be their calling card, like Gordy said, going through the rest of these playoffs, is continuing to rely on guys like Jaden Blue and the run game. It was just an impressive showing by them.
All right, he is Chris Gordy from the Locked On SEC podcast. Chris, as we get closer to the Final Four, we hope to see you then. But until then, thanks for joining us tonight.
Anytime, guys.
And on to hoops. Rice using a huge